everybody's kind of settling in. First of all, I do want to thank you all for coming today. My name is Ashley, for anybody who doesn't know me, and I am the liaison here for Autumn Lake Healthcare at West Hartford. So what we're going to do today is we're each going to talk a little bit about our area of expertise in the senior care industry, mainly focused on future care planning and long-term care planning. So I'm going to start off just by saying that Autumn Lake Healthcare at West Hartford, we are a skilled nursing facility. We do offer 24-hour skilled nursing care. So we are kind of your destination for anybody who needs round-the-clock care. Anyone who cannot manage at home, who needs someone's assistance 24 hours a day, anyone that has chronic medical conditions, they need a skilled professional to manage for them. For anybody who may not be able to manage themselves at home as the future approaches, there are a few different options for you. There are independent living facilities where you're mostly independent. You're just relying on the facility mostly for the maintenance and for recreational activities, things of that nature. If you need a little bit of assistance, you're not quite completely independent, need help with your daily activities, dressing, showering, medication management, then you're kind of looking into the assisted living side of things where they can offer that level of care. If you need a little bit more than that, somebody 24/7 can't manage your medications or taking care of things at home at all, you have chronic conditions, that type of thing, that's when you would need to rely on the skilled nursing facility, as we do here. We do offer short-term rehabilitation as well with physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So we do offer the service of going through the rehab with the intent of going home afterwards, but we do also have that long-term care option as well. And with that, I am going to hand it off to Steve.
Thank you. Steve Anderson from Amston Home Transition Solutions. That's a big name. That's because we do a lot of stuff. So we love seniors, and one other thing we do is we do a lot with Alzheimer's. They have 6 walks coming up in the near future, and we do all the logistics for them. We have all their stuff in our warehouse, and we bring it to the locations. The one this Sunday is in New Fairfield, Connecticut, and we unload all the stuff, and all the volunteers put it together, and it's our way of giving back, and we do that. It's in kind. We do that because we love to do it. So downsizing. I have 10 shocking facts about clutter. 80% of people find themselves stressed, and it's related to clutter. The average American has 300,000 items in their house. Now, if you've lived in your house for 30 or 40 years, I just moved. I had that many. 1 in 10 Americans rent a storage unit. Yeah, that's me. I still have one. The root cause of clutter is not laziness. It's just being overwhelmed. And we downsized a couple of years ago, and yes, it was overwhelming. The best way to avoid clutter is to reduce what you bring into your house. I'm still working on that one with my wife. Studies on habit formation show that it takes about 66 days for a decluttering mindset to become permanent. 80% of items in our home are never used. Yes, but you might need it someday. I mean, I still have that piece of wood that I like that's in my storage unit. The average person gets 121 emails a day contributing to digital clutter. I learned that. I mean, LL Bean, economy oil change, all this stuff I don't need. 36% of Americans cannot park one car in their garage. When I owned a house, I couldn't get anything in my garage because there was so much stuff in it. 99% of people feel better after they declutter. Speaking of decluttering, when I was reviewing what I was going to say today with my wife, she told me, she goes, "Hey, I have a book on decluttering, but I can't find it." So, what does aging in the right place mean? It's a choice. Do you want to stay in your house? Or do you want to go to a 55 and over community? Do you want to go to assisted living? Do you need more help? So we try to take away that stress at Amston. We try to help you. Really, all you have to do is make decisions. We do all the physical labor, try to make it simple for you. So why would you pick us? We only work for seniors. All our people are trained to work with seniors. We love what we do. We provide stress relief, personalized service. There's over 140 senior living communities in Connecticut and Westchester County, New York. I've been to about half of them, and we've worked in about half of them. I never knew this world existed before I started working for these guys. We have a warehouse in Wallingford, so if people can't part with their stuff yet, but they have to go into a community, we can store all their stuff until the family can go through it and decide what to do with it. And we have our offices in Glastonbury, and we can do free assessments. So we can come out, review what you have, talk to you about what you want to do, and then make a plan, give you a price, and sometimes it might take months to get through the process. Whatever it takes, it's all about the seniors. So what do you do with your stuff once you decide to move, or even if you want to stay in the place? You can donate, you can sell, you can bring it to a consignment shop or an auction house, or we love to bring in dumpsters and just clear it out. And we love it when adult children are involved. It makes it so much easier that they can, because we can't tell people what to do. I mean, we had one customer who said, "Oh, I've had this vase since 1973. And the daughter says, "Get rid of it." So we love doing that. So if you want to stay at home, what's the advantage of staying at home? It's all about fall prevention. We've been in some houses that you have area rugs and somebody's trying to use a walker. That's a no-no. A lot of first responders and EMTs go into a house and they say they can't bring the stretcher in because there's just so much stuff. So we can go in, and I could tell you stories, what places I've been. It's just amazing. So we do concierge service. I mean, my coworker Sheila has gone into help senior. I call her the senior's daughter, and she'll go in. She'll go through file cabinets with seniors and pull out important papers, go through closets and figure out what clothes are worth saving and what's worth donating. All right, so if you want to move to a community, we work with senior advisors who help seniors figure out what community is best for them. We will do a furniture plan and help them decide what they can take and what they can't take, and they always want to take more than they can fit in the apartment, so we usually have to go back and second time and take out the rest of the stuff. And I like to say that when we do move a senior into a community, I like to say we'll go through the kitchen, take out all the stuff, pack it, move it, unpack it, and put it back into your new kitchen cabinets. And then what we'll do is we don't leave your new apartment until everything is where you want it. We've had customers say, "Yeah, that's where we said we want the couch, but let's put it over there." So the guys, they won't leave until that's done, until we make sure all the pillows are fluffed and the bed is made and all that is done. I mean, if you ask the guys 5 times to move the same piece of furniture, they might give you a hard time, but they'll do whatever it takes to keep you happy. All right. Presentations. My coworker Sheila here does great downsizing presentations. Well, she does a whole bunch of different kinds, but I strongly recommend you go to one of her presentations. And I believe I put a list there's a list of all the presentations that she's doing upcoming over on the table there. But also on the table, you'll find a survey I put there with all the kinds of different flyers or different things we can provide you for the things we do. So if you want to go to a presentation, and we don't have any in the area except for a couple in Manchester, if you just fill out your information, we will notify you when we have one here. Trying to get one in West Hartford and Farmington.
Excuse me, Steve. But if I could just let everyone know that on our website, guidesandmove.com, there's a tab for presentations, and we update that all the time when presentations are added. So that would be a good place to check too.
Also on the table, I left the inventory booklet. You go through it room by room, like the living room, you put down all your furniture and put a price with it. And that way you can kind of see what you have, and you probably have more than you think you do. And then if you can always tell your insurance agent how much stuff you have, make sure you're protected properly. And I think that's about it. So once again, I really recommend you go to one of Sheila's downsizing presentations. And Cate is next.
Thanks for coming, everybody. So Ashley and Mark asked me to draw your attention to the fact that everybody at each place setting has a little memo pad in the cup, and there's a pen in it. And on the table, there's this slip of paper that I've left that says, if you want a home market analysis, check yes. If you're moving, check yes. If you could take that piece of paper and flip it over and just write, number one, how you heard about this program. We would appreciate knowing what marketing helps us. And number two, if we were to do this again in January or February, would you recommend this presentation to other people? Just a yes, no, or maybe. We would be grateful for that feedback. So they're just scattered around the center of around the decorations. And then we'll just ask you to drop them off at this orange table at the end, please. So I'm just going to tell you that I just want you to remember me in terms of my presentation. And I will tell you that I work with these people all the time, and I have complete faith in all of these people. And so my name is Cate Evans, and I'm with Coldwell Banker, and my slogan is, call Cate for real estate, I go above and beyond. And I believe in doing that for people before they ever want to sell their house. So I work with some people 3 years before they're ever ready to move. I work with people during the whole process of getting their house ready and putting it on the market and negotiating a contract and helping them with the packers and the movers and everything they need right up until the day they sell. I help them get settled in their next place by helping them put in roots in their new community, and then I continue to be of service in any way that they need for the years afterwards, because I just am a community-oriented person. So all I've got here for you are some additional flyers in case there's not enough on your table already. This one is about basic home improvements. So if you're looking to hire a contractor or you want to know where to put your money in your house when you're making an improvement, this will help you figure out how to get the best return for your money. Whenever people are trying to hire contractors, sometimes you don't have contractors that return your call. Sometimes you have contractors that don't show up. Well, that's the benefit of working with a realtor who has a lot of contractor relationships. Because while you're the customer, I'm also the customer. And they know that they're going to get repeat business from me instead of dealing with you one time. And so they make sure that I'm happy, which means I get great responses from the people. My clients get great care, great service, and then my people, the contractors, get called again. So here's a sheet on how to hire the right contractor. If you're thinking about selling, here's a sheet on advice for home sellers. And it tells you price your house appropriately, prepare your house, declutter your house using Steve's services, stage your house, and then work with an effective and skilled realtor. So this is a flyer if you want to take that paperwork home with you just to be reminded. If you want it in an electronic version because you don't want to have more paper in your house, I applaud you. I will send it to you in an email so it can be part of that 121 emails you get tomorrow. Here's a flyer that Steve doesn't have that I have for decluttering because sometimes I present without Steve, but you're going to get great stuff from him.
And then I can come clear it out in a couple of years.
There you go. And then here's how to stage your home. So there's information here for you guys for all of those things. On the table, there's treats for you to take home. If you want hot chocolate or tea, you can take that home. If you want Kleenex for your purse, you can take that home. If you want a calendar for your refrigerator, you can take that home. If you want just a refrigerator magnet with no calendar, I've got those for you too. So, I walk in with a big box and I try to leave with as little of it as possible after the fact. What do most people want when they're talking to a realtor? Anybody?
Honesty.
Okay.
To third
The highest price.
Yep.
What did you say?
The highest price.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first questions I get asked is, how do I know what my home is worth? And so I can tell you that I do market analysis all the time, and this date, 2012, is circled because that's when I started in real estate. And so this is the years of experience I have in real estate. And this is what's happened to the market before I got in real estate. And I'm using my parents' house as an example. They bought before 2000 and paid less than $175 for their house. By 2006, their house was valued at $250. Then what happened in 2008? The market crashed and it was down below 200, but still more than they paid for it in 1986. So, interesting thing, in 2008 we had the crash, but by 2012, people's properties were back at the same price they were at in 2000. So, in 4 years we recovered, not to crazy high of 2006, but the original value of the property in 2000. This was when I started real estate, and then my first client had a beautiful colonial home in Windsor, and her house sold for $405,000. And she had bought it in 2000 for $400,000. So that's another example. Now, had she held on to it, this is what happened in 2012. In another 4 years, properties had jumped again, and they were back up at the $250 price point. And from 2016 to 2020, a span of 4 years, I was telling people that property prices were skyrocketing. Property values were skyrocketing. I was saying to people, in the last 5 years, property values have appreciated by 50%. Now that would mean if you had a $200,000 house in 2016, in 2020 that house was $300,000. Pretty nice growth for those who aren't ready to sell at that point. So I know this because in 2016, Mom was ready to sell, and I told her her house was worth $270,000. They didn't have central air. They had done some constant improvements where they would put $5,000 a year into the house. They're repaving the driveway or doing the front steps or putting in hardwood floors or getting things painted or renovating the kitchen because constant investment is necessary. So Dad, over 35 years, thought, my gosh, we've spent $200,000 on this house. We should get $500,000. I said, Dad, you don't have central air, and part of that is maintenance. That's what's going to make you sell well. Well, Dad wasn't ready to sell, so they waited another 4 years, and when they did sell, they sold for $360,000. So the prices just kept climbing. So here we are. Now we have 2020, when COVID hit, it didn't affect the market. Believe it or not, there was such demand because at that point there was such a shortage of houses for sale. There were people who were in this age group and my parents' age group that weren't leaving their homes yet. There were all these 29 and 39-year-olds who wanted to get their own places and couldn't. And they had waited from this crash. So they were now, the recent college graduates in 2008 were now in their 30s looking to build a home and a family. So this was a tight time. Guess what? It's still been climbing. That same house in Rocky Hill, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath ranch, wooden raised ranch, would now sell for $410,000. I looked at the comps. There were 3 houses in June that sold for $410,000. And these aren't over-the-top mansions. So it's crazy. But Mark will tell you, the property values are now starting to plateau. They're starting to wiggle and wave. People who are waiting here and here for the prices to come back down to normal, sorry, this is the new normal, but this is where it's going to stay. Because for the last 5 years, there have been tons of apartment buildings so that the 29-year-olds can leave home, okay? And that's constantly growing. There have been more 55-plus communities built. There's never enough, but there's more. there's a whole new concept called boommates, which is baby boomers who are becoming roommates. So let's say we have a lady who has a house in Connecticut and a house in Florida, and then we have another lady who has a house in Connecticut and she's a widow, and she's having trouble making ends meet. The lady with two houses can sell her Connecticut house from the solo roommate, for the lady who needs help with the finances, paying the property taxes, and she's only in town 6 months of the year. It's not like an Airbnb revolving. It's one roommate, and the rest of the time she's in Florida. So there's ways that the market is loosening up in terms of properties being available and residences being available, and interest rates have held on for so long. They may go down a little bit, but still, they're high, and so people are saying, I'm not paying more, I'm waiting for the right property to come on the market. So this is a great time to sell because you've gone up, my gosh, 200,000 plus since you bought your house, if you bought it in 2000, right? But you can count on stability, and so this is a great time to take 2-3 years to declutter it and be ready for your next space. Call Cate for real estate. I appreciate your referrals.
Hello, my name is Mark Harrington. I'm the owner of Horizon Home Mortgage in Windsor, Connecticut. I'm a mortgage broker, and I'm licensed in Connecticut, Massachusetts. So, aging in the right place. So, if the right place is going to be your home where you live, I do all types of mortgages, but I have a specialty in reverse mortgages. And if your home you're in right now is the right place, or your customers' homes is the right place, because a lot of you I see here are in-home care companies, then a reverse mortgage is something that you need to understand. It could be a possible tool in your plan to stay at home, or maybe even your future home, because you can do a reverse mortgage to purchase a new home too. I'm not going to go so into detail with that, but if you have questions, you can call me. So, what is a reverse mortgage? It is, and the primary reverse mortgage is an FHA insured mortgage. So the government, HUD, insures these loans. We do have some proprietary products, but they're mainly for like the houses in Fairfield County that are jumbo, $1 million homes. So the one that we do mostly is the FHA insured loan. And basically what it is a loan that allows you to use the equity in your home to stay in your home. So you've worked up, say you've been in your home for 50 years, it's all cluttered up, and you want to stay there. You've worked hard to maintain it, like Cate was just saying, and now it's worth, $400,000, $500,000, and you own it outright. That's a lot of equity just sitting there. So you can use a reverse mortgage to tap into that equity. You have to be 62 or older to qualify, and it can be used how you need it and when you want it. Okay. How it works is you're 62 or older, the value of your house, and the current interest rates. That's how we qualify how much money you're going to get from the reverse mortgage. They're not going to loan you anywhere close to 100% of the value of your home. No lender does that, even on the traditional mortgage side, except for maybe a VA loan. So you're going to be able to tap into some of that equity and use it. And the key to this loan versus a traditional mortgage is you don't have to make a monthly mortgage payment. So it's a reverse mortgage, which is really to say a negative amortization loan. So in a regular loan, you make monthly payments, the loan balance goes down over time, and hopefully somewhere in the future you own the house outright. In the reverse mortgage scenario, it's the opposite. You don't make a payment, so the loan balance increases over time. Okay? And that's why it's important that this is an FHA insured loan, because over time your loan balance could exceed the value of your home because it's growing. You're not making a payment. And if you have a situation like this in 2008, which did happen, especially in the places where the biggest drops in home values were California, Nevada, Florida, a lot of the places where reverse mortgages are done in big numbers, and that actually caused a lot of homes to go upside down. And that's what the mortgage insurance is for. It's to protect the borrower and they can never own more than the house it's worth. So that's an important distinction of the FHA insured mortgage, because we don't want our loved ones to own more than their house is worth someday. And now you're going into your other assets. So it's very important. Now, you qualify for a certain amount. How do you take payment on that money? There's multiple options. The most popular option is the line of credit. Just like a home equity line of credit, the money goes into a line, you just borrow it as you need it. And the other benefit of that payment option is the line of credit, the money in the line of credit actually has a growth rate associated with it. So there's more money available over time to borrow. So it's a really nice, it's the most popular way to take payment, because most people, most borrowers don't need a lump sum at closing, right? They just need money available for when they need it, for their taxes, their insurance, their upkeep of their home, in-home care services. And actually, I'm happy to see a lot of you here, because that is the number one reason I get called now for a reverse mortgage, is mom needs more care. She doesn't have the money. She lives in a $500,000 house that she owns outright. Let's tap into that equity. We don't want another payment, so that's, you can go get a HELOC, right, a home equity line of credit, but what comes with that is a payment. And you have to be able to qualify based on your income and your credit. So it's just a different avenue, and sometimes that does make sense to do that, and we'll recommend that if it does. But most people don't want another payment. So the other payment options are line of credit. You have lump sum, which most people don't take, and there's a monthly payment option. So you can get a check sent to you every month. It's based on actuarial tables that FHA doesn't publish to us, but they calculate a number that you can get every month for the rest of your time in that home. Regardless if that number was to exceed what you originally qualified for, they keep sending the check. Okay, but it's based on your life expectancy. So sometimes that number is just not enough for people. So they want the line of credit so they can borrow as they need or see fit. The other thing that's important to realize is some people that are in retirement or close to retirement still have a regular mortgage that they're making payments on. A reverse mortgage can be done to eliminate that regular mortgage. So that eliminates that monthly payment that they have, which gives them cash flow to be able to do what they want to do. So you can pay off an existing mortgage with a reverse.
Question mark. What happens in the event of a catastrophe, a fire or flood? How does that get mitigated?
So you have homeowners insurance. You're required to have homeowners insurance with these products. Your homeowners insurance policy would cover that.
Does your company get involved in kind of helping resolve that?
Typically not, because you're going to deal directly with the insurance company.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but good question. And that gets me back to the fact that one of the other requirement of these loans is even though you may have extinguished a regular mortgage and you don't have that principal and interest payment, you always still have to pay your taxes and insurance and upkeep the home, because it is the collateral for the loan. So, so those are very important. You got to keep those up to date. Or we're going to talk about now what causes a repayment of this loan. If you don't pay your taxes or insurance, tax liens against a property jump in front of mortgage liens, and mortgage companies don't like that. So they're very careful about that, making sure you're paying your taxes and your insurance. Repayment event. Upon the passing of the second borrower, or if there's two borrowers on the loan, one spouse passes, the loan stays in place until the second borrower passes. If you sell your home, just like in a regular mortgage situation, if you have a lien against your property, that lien has to get paid off, right? When you sell your home, same in a reverse mortgage. If you sell your home to go move in with your son or daughter, that lien has to get paid off, and then the remaining equity goes to you. Another repayment event is if you can no longer reside in your home and you're out of the house for 12 consecutive months. So let's say you had to come here to Autumn Lake for long-term care, and you can't go back to your house in that 12-month period, that's a repayment event. The lender's gonna want repayment at that point. So that's pretty much the basics. I don't want to go too long here. I think I'm probably about 10 minutes. We'll have a question and answer afterwards, so you feel free to throw those out. But we have a question already.
Can I just ask, because it really is to you. So if you do get that line of credit, like for somebody who's still looking at retirement, right? Not somebody who doesn't have an income. And you don't ever really spend into it because now you stop paying your mortgage payments and you could actually put that in the bank. How does that affect it when you go to sell?
Oh, if the money's still in like the line of credit.
Yeah.
So let's think of it like this: if you had a home equity line of credit on your property, very similar, but you never used it. It just, the lien goes away. There's $0 associated with it, right? It's really just the equity that's in your home. So that goes away. You sell your house, all that equity just comes to you when Cate sells your home. So, and I'll just say one real quick thing about this chart, because I love these charts. The reason this is happening is because Gen Y was 84 million people were born in that generation, and the baby boom generation, just to compare it to it, was 69 million. They dwarf the baby boom generation, and that's why this is happening, because they're looking for homes now, and we didn't build anything in New England for them to buy, except now with the apartments. That is the solution that we're going to see, and that'll stabilize our real estate market. If you look in any one of your towns, I'll bet you they're building hundreds of apartment units. Hundreds. Because of that generation, 84 million people.
What's your take on like the in-home renovations, like grab bars, you know, the suction versus the ones that you're nailing into the wall, or tubs to showers, or chairlifts? I mean, sometimes they're easy to come out and patch up, but you're trying to sell a house with a chairlift in it to a young family. So just kind of wanted your take on that.
It's very, very tricky to sell a house to the broad public when you've got a lot of senior accessible equipment put into it.
Yep.
And so the easiest thing is for their comfort as well, for the senior to transition into their next living space, have the equipment removed, and then have the house shown so that it is more universally popular. You want to have the house presented so that it's appealing to as broad an audience as possible, and you want to have as many projects removed so that they don't think, oh, here's a project they're going to do, or here's a project they're going to do. And unfortunately, there's an ick factor. You know, you got a young couple with 2 little kids, and they say, oh, I don't want to move into this house with this seat in the shower that's attached to the wall with the flip thing and all that, you know. So in terms of a house with no tub, that's not as big a deal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not as big a deal. But also in terms of adapting, I know Steve can tell you, there's kinds of stuff that you have to build in, but I just had a client who called and said, I need to do something for mom and dad for transferring from the wheelchair into the tub. And I called and got a recommendation on a vertical, pressure rod with a handle that they could hold on to, and the handle swivels. So it wasn't really about remove the whole tub or put in lots of grab bars or anything like that. So there's so much equipment that's constantly being designed that I can't keep up with it. So I rely on companies who are, in that professional area and to install that stuff.
Yeah, talking about those grab bars, the suction, you have to be really careful with those.
Yeah.
If they're not installed properly, and you can pull it, if I pull on it, I can pull it right off.
Yep.
The problem is, if you put in permanent ones, you have to take off the tile, you have to take the sheetrock, you have to put in plywood blocking, and now you have to redo the whole interior of the...
Exactly.
So that could cost a lot of money, but that's the way to do it.
It is. That's the safest way to go. On the outside, we have all these great care providers that are like Sage Solutions. You guys must know Catherine Frieda, right? she's great because 50% of her clients will be when it's emergent, when it's an emergency. But the other 50% of the clients are being proactive. And you've got a mom who's a widow, who's living alone for many, many years, and she's starting to get frail, and she doesn't want any strangers coming into the house. Well, Kathy can go in and sit down with her, and she really feels heard. And she feels like Kathy's her ally, so that when her kids are having a conversation with her, she knows she's not being ganged up on by her children, even though she doesn't feel that. Her kids aren't necessarily fighting with each other because they have different opinions. You know, there's a facilitator. We have a woman in our group named Liz Cornish, who's also excellent at that, as well as helping people figure out what the right next place is.
I have a beneficiary horror story. I had a client who had it was her first marriage, but it was his second marriage. And he had the life insurance paperwork sitting on his desk to change the beneficiary. And he passed away. Suddenly, he died. The ex-wife got everything, and his second wife that had children, and she had nothing. So it's very important to make sure your beneficiaries are up to date.
Any other questions?
I could tell you horror stories all day long.
Well, I think we all could, so.
That now we pour the wine to talk to.
I get the kids fighting over, I want mom and dad's money, and the other ones, I want mom and dad to each a place at home, so we're gonna keep them home, and they're literally fighting at the table while we're in the middle, and I'm like, can I do this when I leave?
We have that a lot.
Yeah.
And Sheila does a presentation on how to help mom get her off, we call it getting her off the fence. Sometimes they don't want to move into a community, a senior living community, other times they do. So it's a great presentation that she does.
I want to give a shout out to Amston Home Transitions because they worked with an 83-year-old client of mine who was moving out of state. And when they got there, they had a crew of 6, they had 2 dumpsters, and they spent the entire day there. This was after it got postponed, by the way, from the original scheduled date. They were cool with being flexible about the scheduled date. And then, when they got there, the dumpsters were filled, the crew worked all day, and the house still had a ton of stuff in it. And they flexibly said, we gotta go back and do another day. And they brought another dumpster and another 6 people, and they spent another full day. Wow. Because sometimes you just don't realize how much you've packed into the basement and the attic. Yeah. So they did a great job, patient. She was already vacated down to Virginia, and it was amazing. So
That's the 300,000 items.
yes.
Probably more at that point.
You can only see the top layer.
Exactly. Well, I would like to thank again everyone for coming, and especially my friends Steve, Cate, Nathan, and Mark for sharing their expertise with us today. If anybody has any questions or wants to talk to any of us one-on-one, we'll hang around for a little while.